Hey y'all, it's Robert, and today at the Sweet Impact, we're making a wicked cake.
The Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
And you can pull me down.
Now, this is going to be like a normal character cake that I would do. I'm actually just going to do a themed wicked cake. So I'm just going to take different elements from the show in the movie and try to add those to the cake to really make it all come together. So I'm starting this cake with marbled cake layers of pink and green. These are all vanilla, and I'm just going to level and tort each one of them and then add some simple syrup to each one. This cake is going to be 3 tiers, and I'm stacking each of them with vanilla buttercream. And then I'm going to take a knife and carve off the edges of the cake and then do a crumb coat just to make sure that I don't get any crumbs in the final coat. For the final coat, I am using chocolate ganache. This is going to be the best thing for me to use because I am covering this cake with fondant. So I'm using a 3-to-1 ratio of chocolate to cream, and I'm just going to mix it all together until it's really combined and then set it to the side so that I can let it set up. I'm adding the ganache to a piping bag because it's going to be the easiest way for me to add it to the cake. And then I also have this cake board on top, and I'm using this as a guide to make sure that I have really even sides all around the cake. Alright, so now I can add the fondant, and this is going to be a double-sided cake, so one side is pink, the other side is green. So I'm just taking some white fondant and then coloring each of those with food coloring.
Chose to sing live because it meant that we would be further connected to the words we were saying and to each other.
On top of the cake, I'm covering 1/2 green and then going back and adding the pink on the other side. Then I'm going to flip the cake over and trim off that excess fondant and then flip it back over and then cover the sides of the cake. And basically this is just a paneling method. I'm just doing it in halves because I am using 2 different colors.
Build Munchkin Land.
To see all that detail, all of it adds to the things that you can imagine.
9 million tulips. news is the train, which takes 2 days to move because it's 16 tons, is here now.
Come with me. What? To meet the wizard. I couldn't possibly. This is your moment. I'm coming.
Each of the tiers are now covered with fondant, so I can now start stacking them up. But first, I have to add some support dowels because this is a really tall cake. It's going to be a lot of weight pressing down on those bottom tiers, and I want to make sure that everything is going to be supported. I'm also adding this gravity-defying spacer because I know the song Defying Gravity is a really big part of Wicked, so I wanted to make sure that I included this somehow on the cake. But right now, I don't really have any plans of how I'm going to cover it up, but I'm just going to freestyle it as I go. So the cakes are now all stacked up, so now I can start adding all the details to this cake. So first I'm going to start airbrushing colors onto the sides of the cake. I'm using a darker pink on the pink side and a darker green on the green side. And this is just to add a lot more contrast so that it's not just one flat color on each side of the cake. I also have these clouds that I cut out using a Cricut, and I'm just going to use these and airbrush around them to create the outline. I think this just adds a lot more dimension to each side of the cake without having to add too much to it. I'm gonna start decorating the green side first, and I know that on the set of Wicked on Broadway, gears are a big part of that, so I wanted to include that onto the cake. So I have these gear fondant cutouts, and I'm gonna cut out different colors of fondant, black, gray, and a darker green, and then add these to the cake using a little bit of piping gel.
Much of that fabric was repurposed in different ways, and we were dyeing it to be different colors so that it would fit into other worlds.
On the pink side, I'm going to be adding these cherry blossoms because I saw that on the movie poster. There looks to be cherry blossoms on it, so I thought this would be a really cool way to tie that in. So I have these fondant molds of branches and then also of flowers. I'm just going to start pressing those into those molds so that I can create those shapes and then just add them to the cake. On the fondant molds with the flowers, there were also some birds, and there was really no point to add these to the cake, but I just thought it would look really nice with those cherry blossoms, so I just added a couple of those birds onto the pink side of the cake. I'm also adding some pink petal dust to the middle of each of the flowers, and this is just to add a little more color so that the flowers aren't just plain white. All right, so I pretty much have a lot of this cake covered with some of the details, but I still have to do something with the spacer. I have to cover it up somehow. So because I added those cherry blossom trees, I just thought it would be pretty nice to just add a big tree to make it look like that's what was holding up that top tier. And that way I'm able to actually blend that tree into some of the branches onto the cake already. So that's gonna make it look like it really flows all together. So I'm just going to start doing that with some brown modeling chocolate, just sculpting and molding that, adding in a little bit of wire to make some of the branches stick off even more. And then just adding a little bit of the cherry blossoms onto the tree on the pink side to really make it all flow together. So just to add a few more details, on top of the spacer, I can see that it's still white. So I'm going to be adding some Oreo crumbs, and this is just gonna look like dirt, and this really works with the tree, and then adding a few flowers on top of that on the pink side. I also have these different molds that look like crystals and isomalt and bubbles, and I'm going to be filling those all in with different color of isomalts, and I'm going to add those to the cake. So on the pink side, I added these pink bubbles because I know Glinda comes in a bubble on the Wizard of Oz, so I just thought that would be a really cool, nice touch to this cake. And then I know for Emerald City, again, I know it doesn't necessarily tie into Wicked, but I wanted to include all these different things because it's all Wizard of Oz. So I added those emeralds onto the green side on top of the cake and also on different spaces around the sides of the cake. And the very last detail was to add a tiara on the pink side of the cake. So here it is. This is the Wicked Defying Gravity cake complete. So I think this cake actually came out really great. I didn't have a plan for this cake at all. Usually I would like sketch the cake out and have a good idea of what I was doing. I literally freestyled this cake the entire time with no clear plan of what I was doing. I just had all the molds and all the different cutouts already ready, but I didn't know exactly how I was gonna put them on the cake. So I really had fun doing this because I got to really take my time, freestyle, and explore a design that I never did before. So I really am excited and happy about this cake, and I hope you all like it. And if you do like it, make sure you like the video. Comment below any other cakes that you want to see me make. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next video.